بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله بارئ الخلائق الأجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء حبيب قلوبنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد والصلاة والسلام على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين لا سيما ولي الله الحجة ابن الحسن صاحب الأمر والزمان اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء السلام عليك يا سيدة نساء العالمين السلام عليك يا ممتحنة امتحنك الله الذي خلقك قبل أن يخلقك السلام عليك ورحمة الله وبركاته يقول رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم إن الله يرضى لرضاة فاطمة ويغضب لغضبها صدق النبي وآمنا به نوروا مجالسكم بذكر محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. The event of Al-Ghadir, the event of Ashura, and the event of the istishhad or the oppression of Sayyida Fatema al-Zahra salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayha. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, is from amongst the three most important historical events which have deep implications and consequences on our madhab and in finding the true path within Islam. The Holy Prophet of Islam told the Muslims that after me, over a period of time, the Muslims will divide into 73 sects. And from these 73 sects, there is only one sect that is then going to have salvation and enter Jannah. Recognizing this sect is one thing, but adhering to the teachings of this sect after having recognized it is a different thing. For in any case, Amir al-Mu'mineen or Rasulullah says that there is one sect which shall be the most victorious sect from amongst all of those who claim to be the followers of Islam. And you find that these three events, the event of Ghadir and the event of Ashura and the event of the istishhad of Sayyida Zahra, are the most powerful events that help a person recognize the truth and understand the true Aqidah, which is supposed to lead him towards Jannah. Enter Janab, look at the days of Eidul Ghadir, Eidullah al-Akbar, as per the hadith of Rasulullah, the greatest Eid of Allah compared to Fitr and Adha and Mubahila and all other Eids. Look at the days of Ashura. You find that within the commemoration of Ghadir and the commemoration of Ashura, and similarly the commemoration of the istishhad of Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen, during these blessed days of spirituality, you find that across the globe, thousands and hundreds of thousands are able to find the right path due to the commemoration of these historical events. How many people have embraced the path of Ahlul Bayt because they were inspired by the sacrifice of Imam al-Hussein in Karbala? How many people have embraced the faith and the love of Ahlul Bayt, the path of Ahlul Bayt, because they recognized who is the true Waliullah from Eidul Ghadir? How many people have embraced Ahlul Bayt after having recognized during Saqifa who was on Haqq and who was on Batil, through the barakat of these Majalis Fatimiyya, through the barakat of these Majalis Muharram, through the barakat of these Majalis for Eidul Ghadir, thousands of people across the globe are able to recognize truth and then embrace it. Therefore, commemoration of these events are to be granted the highest priorities, are to be given the highest level of importance. Even for people who are within the madhab, those who claim to be Shi'as of Ahlul Bayt, how many times do you find that a person who is weak in his iman, who does not follow the religion, but you find that Muharram and Imam al-Hussein is that inspiration to follow the true path. Days of inspiration, days of spirituality. And hence the commemoration of these events are absolutely essential for our spiritual growth and for the growth of our madhab. Rather, these three events are the cornerstone of tashayyu', of Shiaism. If we understand the potential and the strength behind commemorating these events, then from the other hand you are able to understand why those who are, or why those who form an opposition to Ahlul Bayt invest twice as much of their resources in order to ensure that these commemorations do not happen. Whether it is financial support in regards to printing literature, which is propaganda, or financing medias that downplay the importance of these events, you find them in the millions over the passage of time. You look at the propaganda that is being done in regards to Eidul Ghadir, the event of Al-Ghadir. You find that this is an undisputed event which is quoted from the ulama within all the different madhabs in Islam. In fact, Ibn Jawzi mentions that, and the author of Tadhkiratul Khawas, he mentions that on the day of Eidul Ghadir, there were 120,000 people after Hijjatul Wida who had accompanied Rasulullah while he was traveling back to Medina, and at the area of Khum, Rasulullah made the eternal declaration by asking the people, Alastu awla bikum min anfusikum? Do I not have more authority than you have over yourselves? A mass of 120,000 people together in one voice reply by saying, Bala ya Rasulullah. Rasulullah then goes on to make this statement, Man kuntu mawla fahadha aliyum mawla. Allahumma wali man wala, wa adi man ada, wansur man nasara, wakhdhul man khadala. Ya Allah, he says in front of the entire nation, whosoever's Mawla I am, whosoever's master I am, then Ali is also his master. And then he raises his hand in dua, Ya Allah, support the one who supports Ali. Help the one who helps Ali. Be an enemy to the one who is an enemy to Ali. And humiliate the one who humiliates Ali. You find that this narration of Ghadir, if you pick up textbooks such as Layali Peshawar Nights, which was authored close to 90 years ago, and the debate takes place and the intersect debate in a non-violent and academic manner takes place between one of our scholars in the city of Peshawar within this issue of Ghadir. He states or he cites close to 60 sources from non-Shia book that talk about the event of Al-Ghadir. Ajib. People come generations down in contemporary history and say, "La, what Rasulullah meant when he said, Man kuntu mawla fahada aliyum mawla." The meaning of the word mawla is friend and not master. Argument which continues and exists till this present day and age. Sahih, the word mawla can mean friend. The word mawla in Arabic language is one that is lafdhun mushtarak, a lafdh or a word that has multiple meanings. Sometimes, yes, linguistically speaking, the word mawla means master. Mawla can mean friend. Mawla can mean guardian. Mawla can also mean slave. In the ziyarah of our 12th Imam al-Hujjah, ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu sharif, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, we refer and we address the 12th Imam by saying, Ya Mawla, ana Mawlak. What does this mean? Does it mean, oh my slave, I am your slave? La. Does it mean, oh my master, I am your master? Astaghfirullah, shirk. The word Mawla has multiple meanings, but a word that has multiple meanings, in order to deduce the correct meaning, the rules of grammar or the rules of the language dictate that there must be a qarina. There must be an indication, a contextual indication which helps us to understand the intended meaning behind the word that has multiple meanings. And you find this is a case even in English language. Janab, we've used this example a number of times. The word labor. The word labor within the field of economics denotes the workforce. Subhanallah, until you take the same word labor and you use it within the context of a hospital or in a maternity ward, what does it mean? Something totally different. A woman who is going to give birth. How does a person understand the intended meaning behind the usage of the word labor from the context in which it is being used? It would be utmost stupidity for a person who interprets the word labor in an economic textbook thinking that it is a reference to a woman who is going to give birth. This is ba'ad jahiliyyah. And the same thing when it comes to the word Mawla. The word Mawla, in order to be understood in the context which Rasulullah meant, you come and you see the khutbah of Rasulullah in its entirety. There are a number of indications that show us that the usage of the word Mawla meant to denote master. And the 120,000 people who were in Ghadir at that time in history, 1400 years back, even understood the word Mawla to be master. What is the qarina? The books even from the non-Shia states that as soon as Rasulullah made this declaration, Man kuntum mawla fahada aliyum mawla, Rasulullah commanded the people to give bay'ah to Amirul Mu'mineen and salute him as Amirul Mu'mineen, the master of the believers. Do you give bay'ah to a friend or do you give bay'ah to a master and a leader? Bay'ah means obedience, unconditional. You put your hand on the hand of the master and say to him, regardless of the situations, in times of happiness or in times of difficulty, my unconditional loyalty and obedience is towards you. This is the meaning And this is the intended meaning even behind the dua nudba. Enter Janab, the dua nudba, which the lovers of Ahlul Bayt and the Shias of Amir al-Mu'mineen are supposed to recite every morning after Fajr. As per the traditions, the person who recites dua and nudba 40 days continuous after Salatul Fajr will be from amongst the companions of the 12th Imam, and if he dies during his lifetime, he will be resurrected from his grave in order to be from the Ansar of the 12th Imam. Dua and nudba is absolutely important to read. What do we read inside of dua and nudba? The same principles where we say to the Master, that our 12th Imam, that on this day I pledge my loyalty and my allegiance to you. Allegiance in what sense? Loyalty and obedience. For you find in the books such as Tadhkiratul Khawas, you find in Tarikh al-Tabari, you find within the tafsir of Jalaluddin al-Suyuti, that in the day of Ghadir, the people came and gave bay'ah to Amir al-Mu'mineen after the declaration. There was absolutely no doubt that the meaning of the word Mawla is master, yet because of the power of this event of Ghadir and the impact that it has when it comes to recognizing truth, you find over years resources after resources dedicated in ensuring that the word Mawla and the event of Al-Ghadir is understood to mean friend. Ajib. Rasulullah, who was Rahmatul lil Alameen. See, it is narrated in Kitabul Ghadir by Allama al-Amini that on the day of Ghadir, when Rasulullah stopped the people to address them, he gave a lengthy khutbah and then this declaration. It was exactly at the time of noon, where the sun was overhead and the heat was such that the people were not able to stand on the sand. The desert sands were absolutely burning due to the heat. They needed to take their gowns or their Abbas and put them on the ground and stand on top of them lest their feet burn or get blisters. In this heat, would it make sense that a Rasulullah would subject 120,000 people to this heat in order to make a shallow statement such as Ali is my friend? This Rasulullah, who in Masjidun Nabawi in Medina, one time he was reciting Salatul Jama'ah, he hastened the Salat and he finished it in the shortest time possible. The companions came to Rasulullah, they said, Ya Rasulullah, today you finished the prayer extremely fast. What was the reason? Rasulullah says that while we were reciting, I heard an infant cry. While I heard the child crying, I knew that her mother, the mother of this child, is in Jama'ah. How can I let a mother be in anguish while her child is weeping? So I finished the salat fast such that the mother can attend to her child. This Nabi, who is a Nabiyur Rahma, then after having traits and qualities like these, subjects 120,000 people in the desert under the scorching heat to tell them, Ali is my friend. Ajib. Rasulullah said even more than this, Ali is my friend. So Rasulullah made greater statements. He said that Ali is my brother, Ali is my wasi, Ali is my wazir. He said, Inta minni bimanzilati Haruna min Musa. Statements that were much greater than a shallow statement that Ali is my friend. On the day of brotherhood, when Rasulullah established the bonds of brotherhood between the Ansar and the Muhajirin, every one of the Muslimin was partnered with the person except Amir al-Mu'mineen. Rasulullah takes the hand of Amir al-Mu'mineen and he says, this is my brother in the dunya and the akhirah. Statement that has greater implication than just to say that Ali is my friend and therefore he should be your friend. But yet you find this mentality is widespread. Similarly, Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Similarly, when you come to the commemoration of Ashura and the event of Ashura, you find that Rasulullah in regards to Imam al-Hussein said, Husaynu minni wa ana min al-Hussein, ahabballahu man ahabba Husayna. This hadith, Husaynu minni wa ana min al-Hussein, is found in Sahih Muslim. This hadith, Husaynu minni wa ana min al-Hussein, is found in Sahih Bukhari. Yet despite the status of Imam al-Hussein being a status which is undisputed amongst the ummah, in that he represented haqq in its entirety, Rasulullah says, Al-Hasan wal-Hussein imaman in qama aw qa'ada, or in qama wa in qa'ada. Hassan and Hussein are two imams, regardless of whether they rise in revolution or they sit down and absolve from revolution. This position of leadership for Imam al-Hussein was undisputed between the ummah. He comes out against Yazid ibn Muawiyah, who is a representation of fisk and kufr in its entirety. When the grandson of Rasulullah comes out to face him, you find that forces are investing millions and millions of dollars to ensure that the tragedy of Karbala is portrayed as nothing more than a political dispute between two historical people. Say it happened 1400 years ago. Why should we be shackled to history and remember these events? Ya Habibi, we shape our present and our future by taking lessons and seeking guidance from those in the past, in history. Karbala is that strength, Ashura is that strength that can make the entire world to shake, because it creates that power and that jazba within the people, and that love and that hamas to stand up for truth. And these revolutionary sentiments are embedded within the institution of Azadari. If you understand, or we understand, the strength behind the Azza for Imam al-Hussein and the consequences and the implications that it has in establishing truth and establishing a culture within the Muslim nation to always stand up for truth regardless of the consequences. If we understand this, then you understand from the other side why there is so much effort to attack the institution of Azadari through 1,001 excuses. For us, we need to be grounded in our faith, grounded in the principles of Imamah, grounded in history, not only to protect ourselves from doubt and shock, but to build this yaqeen and conviction in front of us, to be able to learn the art of eloquent intersect debates, such that parties can sit down in a non-violent, non-aggressive manner and speak about truth, and each side gives its party, and in the end let the public make their decision. La ikraha fid deen. There is no need to resort to violence when you have haqq with you. And while we are on this issue, attack against the culture of Ghadir and attack against the culture of Ashura and the Azza, even the attack on the institution of Marja'iyya. Inshallah, it will fit within the time frame. Issue of Marja'iyya. Marja'iyya is one of the cornerstones of Tashayyu', of Shiaism. Marja'iyya is an institution that was established by a Ma'soom Imam. It is because of the institution of Marja'iyya that from the time of Ghaybat al-Sughra, mark my words, I'm not saying Ghaybat al-Kubra, I'm saying from the time of Ghaybat al-Sughra, it is because of the institution of Marja'iyya that Shiaism has existed in the face of the occultation of a Ma'soom Imam. Had it not been for the efforts of the ulama and the mujtahideen and the fuqaha, there would be no trace of Shiaism today. Take one basic example from the thousands of years that we have, examples that we can take from Marja'iyya. Look at the event of Iraq. From the time of the fall of Saddam, had it not been for the Marja'iyya in Najaf al-Ashraf, today Iraq would be a country that is plagued in sectarian violences and warring factions. There perhaps would not be a single trace of the heritage in regards to the harams of Ahlul Bayt inside of Iraq. A country, despite all its trials and tribulations, it is the efforts of the Marja'iyya that perhaps another third world war has not broken out, and the hotbed of that third world war being Iraq. Do we turn a blind eye to the efforts and the guidance given to us by the Marja'iyya? Then where do these sects and groups and institutions come out who also claim to be from the followers of Amirul Mu'mineen, but also cause havoc and reject the institution of Marja'iyya? Habibi, you cannot be from the followers of Ahlul Bayt if you reject the concept of Marja'iyya. There is tanaqud. You cannot say that I love Ahlul Bayt, but I reject Marja'iyya. What is the proof? See, everything that we speak, everything that we establish, there has to be burhan. There has to be proof. The currency of today's ideology, when it comes to accepting ideology or rejecting ideology, is proof. This is the currency in the market of ideology. Janab, where is the proof that Marja'iyya, you cannot be a Shia of Ahlul Bayt if you reject the institution of Marja'iyya? The proof is that Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. The proof for this is that the Shia of Ahlul Bayt are considered to be Shia when they implement the words of Ahlul Bayt. I can say that I am a lover of Ahlul Bayt. I can say that I am a Shia of Ahlul Bayt only if I comply to the command of Ahlul Bayt. Sahih Lola, something absolutely clear. I only deserve to be called Shia if I comply by the orders and the commands of Ahlul Bayt. How can I claim to be a follower of Ahlul Bayt when I reject the commands of Ahlul Bayt? Doesn't make sense. The institution of Marja'iyya is established by Ahlul Bayt. Look at this hadith by Imam al-Askari, salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. In Kitabul Ihtijaj, from the sermon of our 11th Imam, he says, فَأَمَّا مِنَ الْفُقَهَاءِ مَنْ كَانَ صَائِنًا لِنَفْسِهِ حَافِظًا لِدِينِهِ مُخَالِفًا عَلَى الْهَوَى مُطِيعًا لِأَمْرِ رَبِّهِ فَلِلْعَوَّامِ أَنْ يُقَلِّدُوا. Command from Imam al-Askari, where he commands the Shia, whoever from the fuqaha who have protected their nafs, they have fortified their nafs, who are guarding the religion, who are not infatuated with this dunya, who ensure that the rules of Allah, they comply with them, and they are from the fuqaha. What is the command of Imam al-Askari? فَلِلْعَوَّامِ أَن يُقَلِّدُوهُ. Then it is the obligation of the awam, the general public. فَلِلْعَوَّامِ أَن يُقَلِّدُوهُ. يُقَلِّدُوهُ, verb from the word taqleed. It becomes wajib for you to do the taqleed of such fuqaha. Now, how did I become muhib Ahlul Bayt? How can I call myself muhib Ali or muhib Hussein when I reject the command of the grandson of Hussein, Imam al-Askari? A command by Imam al-Askari. Ba'ad. The one who rejects marja'iyya has rejected the command of Imam Sahib al-Amri wa Zaman. Allahumma salli alayhi. Janab Burhan. Where is the proof that the one who rejects taqleed and rejects the institution of marja'iyya in its entirety, he has rejected the command of our 12th Imam? Proof, return to Kitab Ikmaluddin by Shaykh al-Saduq. In a tawqi', a letter which is written by Imam al-Hujjah during Ghaybat al-Sughra, towards the end of Ghaybat al-Sughra, the 12th Imam writes a letter to his Safir, because after the 4th Naib there was no more directed Naib or Safir, direct law. The leadership was to be open to the Ummah. Look at the command of the 12th Imam in this Tawqi', book written by Shaykh Saduq. Ikmaluddin wa Tamamun Ni'mah, or Itmamun Ni'mah. He says in this Tawqi', the 12th Imam has written, فَأَمَّا الْحَوَادِثِ الْوَاقِعَةِ. As for the new events that transpire, فَأَمَّا الْحَوَادِثِ الْوَاقِعَةِ فَارْجِعُوا إِلَى رُوَّاتِ حَدِيثِنَا. As for the new affairs and the new issues that will come up on a daily basis, return back to the ruwat of my hadith, return back to the narrators of my hadith. What is meant by narrator of the hadith? Not somebody like a baghbaga, like a parrot who can sit and memorize a hadith. La, ruwatul hadith, somebody who has understood the hadith, somebody who is a faqih, in addition to the qualities that have been pointed out for a faqih by his father Imam al-Askari. فارجعوا إلى روات الحديث فإنهم حجتي عليكم وأنا حجة الله عليهم. The 12th Imam al-Hujjah says, for the events of your deen, because you do not have direct access to your Imam, refer back to the fuqaha of your time. Do their taqleed, because they are my authority over you. Imam al-Hujjah is saying they are my authority over you. To reject them is to reject the command of Imam al-Hujjah. And then the Imam goes on to say, فَأَنَا حُجَّةُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِمْ. I am the argument and the hujjah of Allah on these ulama and maraja. The deen falls into chaos if there isn't a hierarchy of authority. We rebuke those groups that say Rasulullah left the dunya without leaving a leader who would be in charge of the ummah. And then we turn around and we think that the 12th Imam will go into ghaibah without leaving or making preparations for a leader within the ghaibah of the Imam. Ajib. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. علينا بالتفكر والتدبر. Contemplation on the matters of deen and the matters of religion. What did the Imam want from us and where are we going? And these excuses, 1,001 excuses to reject Marja'iyah. Whether it is in the Western countries or in the Eastern countries, the different faces, different excuses, same natija. That in the end, you reject the authority of the 12th Imam. And then I come in the mosque, Allahumma kulli waliyika al-fa. For you find, this has taken more time than I hoped, but this is a matter which is important, and insha'Allah, khair and barakah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. For you find that our initial kalam, that the cornerstone aspects and events of our religion, which form the basis of our madhab, are constantly being attacked from within and from outside. The issue of Ghadir, the issue of Karbala and the commemoration of Karbala, the issue of Marja'iyah, which we use just as an example, and similarly the event of Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen, the event of the door and the event of Fadak. There are a number of questions that are raised in regards to the attack that happened on Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen. See, from the injuries that Sayyidat Zahra sustained, a broken rib, a punctured lung, because there was a nail that was protruding from the other side of the door. For Allah, when this zalim crushed Sayyidat Zahra between the door and the wall, this nail punctured her lung. A broken rib, a punctured lung. She had a bruised face until the time she passed away. She had a bruised eye until she passed away. I don't want to start the masa'ib now, but to give you Abdul Zahra al-Ka'bi, rahmatullah alayh, one of the mashhur khutaba in Karbala. Once he recited the Maqtal of Sayyidat Zahra, and he was reciting in the Majlis the last moments of the life of Sayyidat Zahra. And he said that in the end, when Malakul Maut came to her, she said, Assalamu alayka ya abata ya Rasulallah, Assalamu alayka ya Jibra'il, Assalamu alayka ya Qabid al-Arwah, yani Malakul Maut. And she closed both her eyes, and this is how her soul departed from the dunya. He recited this in the Majlis. That night in his dream, he sees Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen. She says to him, Ya Abdul Zahra, don't say I closed both my eyes. Say I closed one of my eyes because of the bruise on the other. A bruised eye, a bruised face, a bruised arm, and a bruised back. From the injuries that she suffered. So questions come up. Sometimes these are questions that are planted to cause shock within the ummah and the validity or the authenticity, of this event, whether it happened and if Sayyidah Zahra was truly oppressed to this extent. Sometimes the questions are planted not as a question but to plant a shock, doubt. And sometimes it can be a genuine question where a person might truly ask, genuinely he has this query, how could the people of Saqifa attack Sayyidah Zahra in this way while Amirul Mu'mineen was present? Amirul Mu'mineen, Fatih Bab al-Khaybar, Amirul Mu'mineen, the champion of Khaybar and Khandak and Uhud. How could Sayyidah Zahra be assaulted to this extent in the presence of Amirul Mu'mineen? Why didn't he do anything? This is one question. The second question that is asked is that Imam has ilmul ghaib. Sayyidat Nisa'il Alameen also had ilmul ghaib. If they knew that the people of Saqifa are going to cause such violence and attack Sayyidat Zahra in this way, why did Amirul Mu'mineen let Sayyidat Zahra go and open the door for them in the first place? This is the exact two questions that are asked. And inshallah we shall try tonight in the time that we have to answer these questions and give a conviction so that we understand history and we can explain to others and ensure, because answers like these, if they remain questions like these, if they remain unanswered, slowly by slowly people start to negate the incident of the door in its entirety, as has happened amongst certain groups within the Shia. See the first answer, or answering the first set of questions. Why did Amirul Mu'mineen let Sayyidah Zahra go and open the door for the people of Saqifa? To answer this question, let us ask another question. What would have happened if Amirul Mu'mineen himself would have gone to open the door? What would have happened? To understand that question, why Sayyidah Zahra went, we ask another question. What would have been the potential scenario had Amirul Mu'mineen gone and answered or stood behind the door or opened the door? The people of Saqifa, when they came to the house of Sayyidah Zahra, had come in the numbers and in the form of a military, in the form of an army. As we will read in the Masa'ib today, and it is mentioned in the book Kawakib al-Durri or Kawkab al-Durri, that there were 300 people who marched towards the house of Sayyidah Zahra. Ubay ibn Ka'ab states that when they were marching towards the house of Fatema and Ali, the numbers that were there and the way the horses were galloping, it felt as if the land of Medina was trembling, and they were armed with spears. They are coming with an attitude of aggression and violence. Had Amirul Mu'mineen come to the door, the fact that Amirul Mu'mineen's reputation and his character was that he was a seasoned warrior, the champion of Badr and the champion of Khandak and Hunayn, and the person who has spilt the blood of the kuffar and the mushrikeen from the Arabs, like the way the 12th Imam says in Dua in Nudbah, where he says وَقَدْ وَتَرَ or وَقَدْ قَتَلَ سَنَادِيدَ الْعَرَبِ, that he is the one who killed the leaders and the battalions of the Arabs. Had Amirul Mu'mineen gone to the door to confront these people, then they would have taken full advantage to shed blood and to draw the sword and kill him. They would have engaged him in a military conflict, which is what they wanted. But on the side of Ahlul Bayt, the initial approach is always an approach of non-violence. Had they seen Amirul Mu'mineen, they would have assumed that he has come out to fight, and there would be a fighting and bloodshed, and a war would have broken out right there and then. And then the historians across history would write that the issue of Khilafah was a military dispute, and the Khilafah legitimately belongs to the one who was militarily victorious. And the issue of Imama and the Khilafah and the stance of Amirul Mu'mineen, down the drain. Somebody could say, Shaykhuna, this is a far-fetched hypothesis that you are giving us. It is not far-fetched that history could have been distorted in this way. Look at the life of Amirul Mu'mineen. Look at the fada'il that were exclusive towards him, which was then given to other people across history. The title of Siddiqul Akbar was for Amirul Mu'mineen, given to somebody else. The title of Farooq was reserved for Amirul Mu'mineen. It went to somebody else. Even during the time of Muawiyah, wal ayadu billah wa astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. During the time of Muawiyah, the tafsir of the Quran, which talks about the prohibition of using alcohol or drinking alcohol, Muawiyah would pay the mufassirin to go and teach in the villages that this verse was revealed in the Quran, because astaghfirullah, Ali ibn Abi Talib used to drink alcohol before. And you find this present even till today within the books of the Sunnah, between the books of the Ahadith. Believe or no, if they could distort that part of history, do you not think they would distort this part of history? Taban. And number two, Amirul Mu'mineen, his actions are dictated by hikmah, wisdom. And this wisdom is not restricted to time and space. It is not restricted to a certain time or to a certain place. His wisdom is supposed to be for all generations that will come after him. Had Amirul Mu'mineen gone and say even a military conflict occurred, and say Amirul Mu'mineen even was victorious, then it would set a precedent down history that Khilafah is an issue which is only and only achieved through military might. Even you find this mentality exists today or not. Look at organizations such as ISIS, organizations such as Boko Haram. To establish the Khilafah, even if it is based on bloodshed, is legitimate. Whereas for us, the teachings of Ahlul Bayt are absolutely different. The rule of thumb within the school of Ahlul Bayt is that the ends does not justify the means. Golden rule given to us by Ahlul Bayt. The ends do not justify the means. Just like the end is pure, the means to reaching towards that end should also be pure. For the hikmah, if Amirul Mu'mineen would have gone, this is what would have happened. This is our first answer. Our second answer is that if a person questions why did Imam Ali let Sayyida Zahra go to the door if he knew that the people on the other side are willing to kill her or ready to kill her, our answer to them is the same answer. In Karbala, why did Imam al-Hussein allow Aliyun al-Akbar to go to the Maqtal? Did he not know that Aliyun al-Akbar will be killed? He knew. Why did Imam Hussein let Qasim go to the Maqtal? Did he not know Qasim will be killed? He knew they will be killed, but yet Imam let Aliyun al-Akbar and Qasim go into the Maidan. Why? Just the same reason that Imam Hussein gave Aliyun al-Akbar permission. Over here Amirul Mu'mineen gave Sayyidah Zahra permission. Why? Because in order to establish and to save the divinity of the concept of wilaya and imama, there needs to be a group of divinely selected and pure people who will then play the role of being shaheed in order to save wilaya. Aliyun al-Akbar's sacrifice in Karbala was a sacrifice to protect the wilaya of Imam al-Hussein. Similarly, when Sayyida Zahra went behind the door, her stance was that she was going to teach the entire Islamic ummah that I, Fatema, Bad'at al-Rasul, Sayyidat Nisa'il Alameen, I am the first defender for the wilaya and the imama of Ali. Ya Ali. Shahidatul Wilaya. She became Shahida. She attained martyrdom for the sake of saving the wilayat of Amirul Mu'mineen. In order to save Imama, she said to Allah, even if I have to give Muhsin as a Qurbani, I give it for the Imamat of Ali. Which is why you read in her ziyarah, Assalamu alayki ya mumtahana, imtahanaki Allah alladhi khalaqaki qabla an yakhluqaki. Sayyida Zahra, you say salam on the person who was given an imtihan by Allah even before she was created. In the alam before the dunya, Allah took a covenant from Sayyidati Nisa'il Alameen. Are you ready to undertake this dhulm in order to stand up and defend the Khilafah and Wilaya of Amir al-Mu'mineen? She said yes. This is the meaning and the tafsir of the ziyarah of Sayyidah Zahra that we recite. Sayyidati Nisa'il Alameen had come at that time. First of all, we need to even answer this question that is asked. The question in itself, to a certain extent, is incorrect, because we said the initial question was what? Why did Amir al-Mu'mineen send Sayyidah Zahra to open the door when she knew that, or when he knew that the people of Saqif are this violent? Habibi, Sayyidah Zahra never went to open the door. She went to close the door, and she went to admonish them. She, by taking this stand behind the door, made and separated haq from batil for eternity. If you don't know what happened in Ghadir, you don't know what happened, the politics that happened in Saqifa, you don't know anything about the fadail of Amir al-Mu'mineen, bring somebody who is absolutely naive and absolutely has no information about any of this baggage and any of this history. You just tell him, Janab, that a certain group of people came to force bay'ah and take over government, and in the process they broke the rib of Sayyidah Zahra and they burnt down her house. Do you think they are correct or not? They will tell you, are they Muslim? Yes. He says, how can the Muslim treat the daughter of Rasulullah in this way? She became a hujjah, where haqq can be distinguished from batil until the end of time. Therefore, her stance was a stance that was absolutely important. There needed to be this personality. When Sayyidah Zahra was behind the door and she admonished them, she says to Ibn Sahak, Ama tattaqillah, do you not fear Allah? Do you know who I am? This is that Fatema that the entire Muslim Ummah knew. Inna Allah yarda li ridati Fatema wa yaghdab li ghadabiha. By her expressing her anger, we realized that this Khilafah was attained at the expense of the anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Enough for anybody to recognize haqq. This is in regards to answering the ishkal from this side. The other two questions, perhaps the time, or the other question that is remaining, the time is over, and if I enter into this, perhaps it will take another maybe half an hour. Inshallah, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us tawfiq, we shall answer the second part of the question, but it is suffice that we know at this point and in this juncture that when Amirul Mu'mineen allowed Sayyidah Zahra to go behind the door, she was representing a jihad through which truth would be distinguished from falsehood forever. And this, she was the first Shahida, the first martyr in the way of Wilaya and Imama. Ahibba'i, tonight is the night of the martyrdom of Sayyidati Nisa'il Alameen. It is mentioned that Rasulullah on his deathbed, Sayyidah Zahra and Amir al-Mu'mineen and Imamain al-Hassan and Hussein were on the side of Rasulullah. And Rasulullah whispered something into the ear of Sayyidah Zahra, where she began to weep. And after some time, he whispered something in the ear of Sayyidah Zahra, and she began to smile. Later on, one of the wives of the Prophet asks Sayyidah Zahra, what did Rasulullah whisper in your ears such that you started crying and then you started smiling? She said to him that Rasulullah whispered in my ear that after I depart from this world, O Fatema, you and your husband and your children will be oppressed in this ummah. The right of Ali will be taken away from him, and you will have to give a sacrifice in his way. Sayyidah Zahra began to cry, because taking away the haqq of Amir al-Mu'mineen is taking away the entire deen of Rasulullah. And after some time she began to smile. Why? Because Rasulullah said to her, O Fatima, you are the first one from my Ahlul Bayt who is going to meet me. Allah, Allah. Sayyidah Zahra's consolation, her only source of happiness after Rasulullah was that she knew that she is going to be the first one to return back to Rasulullah. Allah, Allah, Ya Shia and Amir al-Mu'mineen, tonight we will recite the part of the Masa'ib which resulted in the burning of the door. And inshallah tomorrow night we shall recite the entire Maktal of Sayyidah Zahra and go through her. We will try and live with her the last hours and the last days of her life up to her burial. Tonight inshallah the Masa'ib and the tragedy of the door which resulted in the istishhad of Muhsin. Allah, Allah. The tradition or the narrations mention that after the demise of Rasulullah, the people met in Saqifa of Bani Sa'ad, and they left the body of Rasulullah even before it was given a ghusl and a kafan. Allah, Allah. Amir al-Mu'mineen complied by or stayed by the body of Rasulullah. He gave him the ghusl, he gave him the hunut and the kafan. He then prayed over Rasulullah with a small number of the companions before they buried Rasulullah. The narration mentions that after the Saqifa, the people came and they had all come towards the masjid. Ibn Abul Hadid al-Mu'tazili says that bay'ah was being taken from the people by force on aggression at the expense of a sword on their neck. When majority of the people had given the bay'ah to Ibn Abi Quhafa in Masjid al-Nabawi, they called out for Ali ibn Abi Talib, because him and the number of the Bani Hashim had not given the bay'ah. The narration mentions that both of them, the Jibt and the Taghut, they sent Kunfudh towards the house of Fatima, and they said to him, Kunfudh was one of the Tulaka who had come into the fold of Islam as a munafiq after Fathul Makkah, a person who was known to be of a very low lineage, a person who was of illegitimate birth, a person who had the hardest of hearts and had the harshest of characters. They sent Kunfudh, they sent him to the house of Fatima and Ali. They said to him, go and bring Ali and ask him to give bay'ah to the wasi or to the Khalif of Rasulullah. Kunfudh came to the house of Sayyidah Fatima for the first time. He knocked on the door. Amir al-Mu'mineen came from behind the door for the first time. He asked him, what is it that you want? Kunfudh said to him that the Khalif of Rasulullah is asking you to give him bay'ah. Amir al-Mu'mineen turned away Kunfudh. He said, how quickly did you steal this title of Khalifa from me? I shall not give the bay'ah. Kunfudh returned back to the mosque and he said to the people in charge that Ali is refusing to give the bay'ah. They sent Kunfud again to the house for a second time. Kunfud came to the house insisting for Amir al-Mu'mineen to give bay'ah. At the second time, Sayyidah Zahra came behind the door and she said to Kunfud, "Uharrij alaykum an tadkhula bayti bighayri idhni." She said to him, "I forbid you to come towards my door without my permission. Go back." So Kunfud went back to the mosque, and this time he said in front of the people of Saqifa that Fatema, the daughter of Rasulullah, will not open the door to let Ali, or will not open the door, and Ali will not give the bay'ah. One of the people who were there from the Saqifa, the Taghut, he stood up and he said, "Maulana walin nisa." He said, "What is there to do? Why should we comply it with the words of these women? This is not the affairs of the women. Allah, Allah, this is Sayyidah Fatema. She is not from any one of the women." The narration mentions that for a third time, they stood up in the mosque. They gathered all the Ansar and the Muhajirin. They gathered the Tulaka and the Munafiqeen until their numbers reached 300. And then Ibn Abu Quhafa said to them, "I'tini bihi bi'a'nafil unf." He said, "Bring to me Ali ibn Abi Talib in the most violent way. فَإِنْ أَبَوْا فَاقْتُلْهُمْ." If they refuse to come out of the door, then kill them. Allah, Ibn Sahak came out of the masjid with a group of 300 people. He asked them to gather firewood with them. If Ali refuses to come out of his house, they will they will burn down his house. Ubay ibn Ka'ab says, as 300 people marched towards the house of Fatema, I felt that the land of Medina is trembling. I saw that the people have firewood and spears with them. When they stood behind the door, Ibn Sahak made it very clear that we will come to bring Ali out of the house. If he doesn't come out of the house, we shall burn down the house. Allah, Allah, one of the people from the Ansar or the Muhajirin said to him, "But Fatima and the children are in the house." He said, "Wa in." So what if they are in the house? Allah, Allah. The narration mentions that he began to knock the door and bang the door in a very violent way. They began to shout insults and they began to shout attacks and threats towards Ahlul Bayt from outside the door. Allah, Allah, Sayyidah Zahra came behind the door. She said to him, "What is it that you want from me?" So Ibn Sahak replied by saying, "Ma balu ibnu ammaki awradaki ala al-babi lil-jawab wa ajlasa wara il-hijab." He said to them, "What is wrong with your husband that he sends you to the door to answer while he himself is sitting at the back?" Sayyidah Zahra replies, "Tughyanaka ya shaqi wa ilzamuka al-hujjah." I have come here because of your oppressive nature. I have taken this stance to make you comply by the hujjah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He then said to her, "Iftahil bab wa la in la ahrukannahu alaykum." Open the door, otherwise we shall burn down the door and the house upon all of you. Sayyidah Zahra said to him, "Ama tattaqillah." She said to him, "Do you not fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?" So he said to her, "Leave the words of the women and the emotions of the women and open the door. If you do not, we shall burn down the door on them." So she said to him, "Will you burn down the door on me and my children?" He said, "Yes, we shall do it." She says, "Are you not afraid of Rasulullah?" He said to her, "Look at the words of the Zalim, the Fir'aun of the Ummah." He says to her, "Iftahil bab, falaysa Muhammad hadiran, fala malaikatun atiyun, آتية بالأمر والنهي أو الزجر من عند الله. He said to her, open the door. Muhammad is now, no, he's not alive anymore. The angels are not going to come down anymore with any warnings. Open the door, else we shall burn it. She refused to open the door. The Maktal mentions, Allah, Allah, ya Shia. They lit the door of Fatema on fire. Sayyidah Zahra says, as the fire began to creep up the door, the flames and the smokes came behind. I began to choke from the flames. Allah, Allah, my two children, Hassan and Hussein, are standing by the door of the house by the other wall. They are crying. Sayyidah Zainab comes and she asks Imam Hassan, brother Hassan, why are they burning down our house? Allah, Allah, the narration mentions that as the door began to burn, this Zalim then kicked open the door. Sayyidah Zahra cried out in a voice that was painful, Ya Abata, Ya Rasulallah, Ma lakaina wa'adaka, what have we come and received? What treatment have we received from your ummah after you? The narration mentions that when he heard the door, the voice of Fatima, that she was behind the door. The narration mentions that he kicked the door. He kicked the door with such a hardness. فَأَسَّرَهَا بَيْنَ الْبَابِ وَالْجِدَارِ. He crushed Fatima between the door and the wall. فَكُسِرَتْ ذِلُوهَا. Allah, Allah, the rib of Fatima was broken. The rib of Fatima was broken as she was crushed behind the door. She cried out in a very painful voice, Wa Muhammad. The narration mentions she cried out, Rasulullah. As soon as the Zalim heard the name of Rasulullah, he came in. The Maktal says, فَلَتَمَهَا عَلَى خَدَّيْهَا. He came and he slapped Fatima across the face. Fasahat, Zahra began to scream and wail. The narration mentions he removed his sword. He hit Fatima on her back with the sword. He looked at her one last time. Allah, Allah, ya Shi'at Fatima, put your hands on your heart. This is the Masa'ib of Fatima. The narration mentions فَرَفَسَهَا بِرِجْلِهِ. فَرَفَسَهَا رَفْسًا شَدِيدًا. Allah, Allah, he kicked Fatima in the stomach. وَمُحْسِنًا. She cried out, Ya Fidda Sannidini. Fidda, come and help Fatima. Muhsin has become shaheed. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un.